Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are looking at, well, a medical grade problem in a very non-medical setting.
Right.
Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of absolute precision. You break your arm, the x-ray shows that jagged white line, and the doctor points right at it and says, there it is, that is the problem.
Exactly. It's undeniable.
Right. But when you step into the world of sales, specifically automotive sales, that x-ray machine's completely broken.
Huh.
We are looking at a diagnostic landscape that is just entirely murky. And today, using internal documentation, recent case studies, and floor-level feedback from actual dealerships, we are pulling back the curtain on something we have been building behind the scenes.
Yeah, this is a big one.
A lead generation system for franchise dealers that finds motivated buyers with specific financial problems and delivers complete buyer profiles directly into the CRM before the BDC ever dials a number. No shared leads, no prize seekers, no blind calls, just briefed buyers who arrive ready to sit at the desk. It is called DeskReady Leads, and today we are going to show you exactly how it works, why we built it, and what a real lead looks like when it hits a dealer's CRM. This is the deep dive we have been working toward. Let's get into it.
It's so great to finally dig into these sources because, what's fascinating here is that the entire automotive marketing industry is drowning in recycled vendor promises.
Oh, totally drowning.
Dealerships, they do not need another vendor promising them more traffic. They definitely don't need another dashboard full of clicks or impressions or form fills or VDP views, which, for anyone outside the industry is a vehicle details page, just the specific website page for a single car.
Yeah, the shiny metrics.
Exactly. You get these monthly reports and the cost per lead numbers look fantastic on a spreadsheet. We use AI to optimize your campaigns. It sounds incredible in the boardroom.
Right, but then you walk out onto the actual sales floor and it is completely quiet. Crickets.
Yep. Because the industry has just forgotten the end goal. A lead isn't just a vanity metric to make a marketing agency look good. It's a conversation waiting to happen. If the marketing isn't generating a conversation, it's just noise.
Okay, let's unpack this because I really want to understand the mechanics of where this actually breaks down.
Right.
Trace the journey for me. What happens when one of those flashy, supposedly AI-optimized leads actually reaches the salesperson? Why is the x-ray machine broken?
It breaks down in the data transfer, specifically through the API integrations between platforms like, say, Facebook and the dealership's customer relationship management system, the CRM.
Okay.
Social media platforms optimize for friction reduction. They want a user to click an ad, have their name, email, and phone number autofill, and just hit submit in 2 seconds.
Make it as easy as possible.
Right. But in doing that, they strip away all the context. So by the time that data gets dumped into the dealership CRM, it's completely flat.
Just the basics.
Yeah, it's a name, a phone number, an email, maybe a vehicle model, and a super vague source tag like Facebook lead. Or, honestly worse, it has an internal campaign name attached to it that literally nobody on the sales floor understands, like Q3 Tier 2 Truck Promo V4.
But wait, I'm trying to visualize this. Why can't the API just send the data about what the ad actually said? Like, if the ad was about a truck liquidation event, shouldn't the CRM tell the salesperson that?
Well, it should, but most CRMs are built to catch contact information, not behavioral context. The fields just don't map over seamlessly, so the salesperson gets handed what is essentially a digital Post-it note.
Oh, man.
Yeah, getting a lead like this is like a doctor walking into an exam room knowing the patient's name is John and knowing John found the clinic on Facebook, but having absolutely zero idea if John is there for a massive heart attack or a stub toe.
So the salesperson is walking into the exam room totally blind.
Completely blind. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this lack of context creates a catastrophic chain reaction on the sales floor.
How so?
Because a salesperson doesn't know why John clicked, so they don't know what problem to solve. Was John looking for a lower payment? Does he have a trade-in? Is his lease ending? Is he upside down on his loan?
Right.
Does he need help getting approved? Was he shopping in Spanish? They have literally no idea.
Which forces what the sources call the blind call. And we all know what that sounds like. It's that awkward, fumbling introduction like, hey, John, this is Mike from ABC Motors. I saw you were interested in a vehicle. Are you still interested?
That is the sound of a dealership burning an opportunity.
Totally.
Put yourself in the customer's shoes for a second. You clicked an ad at 10 p.m. because you were stressed out about your high car payment. Then the next morning, a stranger calls you and aggressively asks, when can you come in to look at cars?
You feel chased.
You feel totally chased. The salesperson is guessing, and when they guess, they fall back on lazy, generic opening lines.
And what does the customer do? They ignore it. They let it go to voicemail. They delete the generic text message.
Right. And then what happens? The salesperson goes into the CRM, clicks a drop-down menu, and marks it as a bad lead.
Of course.
But it wasn't a bad lead. The handoff was bad. A lead without context isn't a warm lead at all. It's literally just a cold call with contact information attached.
Wow. Okay, so if the handoff is the root of the disease here, who is actually qualified to cure it? Because you can't fix the realities of a sales floor from a tech company's conference room in Silicon Valley.
Definitely not.
And that brings us to the origin story of DeskReady Leads outlined in these case studies. It wasn't built by spreadsheet analysts or ad dashboard gurus. It was developed by someone who actually sold cars on the floor for 5 years.
Yeah, that's a huge distinction.
But I want to challenge that for a second. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Why does spending 5 years standing on a lot waiting for a walk-in customer change the actual code and structure of a lead gen platform?
Because there is a profound psychological difference between reading a white paper on dealership operations and actually picking up a phone to call an internet lead, knowing you have 3 seconds to figure out what to say before they hang up on you.
Yeah, the pressure is real.
Exactly. A tech developer sees a successful data transfer. A salesperson sees a human being who is about to reject them. But what's even more critical in the source material is that the builder of DeskReady Leads later became an internet manager.
So they were the person standing right in the middle of the chaos.
Precisely. The internet manager sees both sides of the machine. They see the advertising vendor claiming huge successes on their monthly Zoom call.
Look at all these leads we gotcha.
Right, and simultaneously, they see the salespeople rolling their eyes at those exact same leads on the floor. They see the notes from the BDC, the dealership's business development center, the dedicated call center.
Yeah.
They see the managers asking why nobody sold the customer. They see the exact moment where the marketing illusion breaks down into sales reality.
They see what the CRM actually looks like on a Tuesday afternoon. Because let's be honest, we talk about CRMs like they are these pristine, highly organized vaults of opportunity. But the documentation highlights that most of them become absolute junk drawers.
Junk drawer is the most accurate way to describe it. It's a digital hoarding situation.
Just full of noise. You've got duplicate leads. You've got third-party leads that were sold to 4 other dealerships at the exact same time.
Oh, yeah.
You've got manufacturer lights, chat widgets popping up, automated equity alerts, missed calls, and the absolute worst tasks marked complete by a salesperson when literally nothing meaningful happened just to get the manager off their back.
We've all seen that. And DeskReady Leads was built from the inside to cure this exact clutter. The builder knew that throwing more mystery names into that junk drawer wasn't going to help a dealership sell cars.
Right.
They recognized that the moment a salesperson is forced to ask, "Are you still interested?" The sale is essentially over before it began.
Okay, so understanding the floor's frustration is one thing. Recognizing the X-ray machine is broken is the first step. But how does DeskReady actually fix the machine? What is the mechanism here?
It comes down to the bait.
Right. Here's where the strategy in the case studies gets really interesting. They aren't fishing with a massive net, hoping to catch anyone who likes looking at shiny pictures of cars online. They're using specific bait to catch people who are actively trying to escape a financial trap.
Yes, it's all about trading mystery names for specific, painful financial stories. This requires a complete shift in how we think about targeting. Not every person in the market is motivated by the same thing.
Obviously not.
DeskReady focuses specifically on motivated buyers with real financial problems. Why? Because financial problems create urgency. A customer who is just casually browsing a gallery of new trucks might buy a car next year, but a customer who actively hates their current monthly payment, they have a reason to answer the phone today.
I love the hospital analogy we started with, so let's take it a step further. It sounds like DeskReady is acting like the triage nurse. They aren't just taking names at the door and throwing everyone in the waiting room. They are figuring out who is bleeding and sending them straight to the trauma surgeon while sending the guy with the sniffles back out.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
But let me push back on the business model of this for a second.
Yeah.
If you narrow your targeting that much, if you only go after people with specific financial problems, doesn't your cost per lead skyrocket? Isn't it just cheaper to cast a wide net on Facebook?
Well, sure, it is cheaper to cast a wide net if your only goal is to buy cheap data, but cheap data doesn't sell cars.
Fair point.
This is where the psychology of self-selection comes in. It's not about the AI magically reading someone's mind. It's about the creative copy in the ad itself. If you run a vague ad with a picture of a car and say, huge savings, you get vague leads.
Yeah, price takers.
Exactly. But if you run a highly specific message about escaping a painful auto loan, the right buyer self-selects by clicking it. The creative isn't designed to get a cheap form fill to make a report look good. It's designed to force the customer to raise their hand and say, yes, that is my exact problem.
And that self-selection is what creates the context that survives the API transfer.
Exactly.
So if we were using this specific bait, who exactly are we trying to catch? The sources mention a few distinct buyer profiles that DeskReady targets to create this context.
Let's break those down. The first major profile is the negative equity buyer. This is the customer who owes more on their loan than their vehicle is actually worth.
Oh, being upside down, that's stressful.
Extremely. Think about someone who bought a car in 2022 when market prices were sky high, and maybe they rolled some bad debt into that deal. Now the market has corrected, their car is worth 30% less, but their payment is still incredibly high. They feel completely trapped.
And under the old model, the CRM just gets a name, and the salesperson calls and says, want to buy a new car, which makes the customer instantly defensive.
Exactly, because the customer is thinking, I can't buy a new car, I'm buried in this one. But DeskReady identifies the situation before the call is even made. So the BDC rep, or the salesperson, looks at the CRM, sees the context, and the script completely changes.
What does that sound like?
It sounds like this. I saw you were looking at options for your current payment situation. Are you mainly trying to lower your payment, get out of your current vehicle, or just see what your trade is worth?
Oh, wow. That is a massive difference. You aren't interrogating them. You're
No.
consulting.
Right.
You're giving them multiple choice options
Yep.
based on their actual pain point.
It gives the customer permission to explain their real problem without feeling sold to. It's huge. Now, another massive opportunity area the system focuses on is the lease-end buyer.
Okay.
These are incredibly valuable opportunities, but dealerships historically mishandle them because they lack the context. This customer is highly stressed. The clock is ticking on their contract.
Well, they have a deadline.
Exactly. Should they buy it out? Turn it in? Are they over their mileage? Will they owe thousands in wear and tear fees?
So they aren't shopping for a car, really. They're shopping for a way out of a contract. So how does the DeskReady approach handle that triage?
Well, the approach recognizes the timing and the pressure. The first touch point isn't, come look at our inventory. It's, your lease may be coming up soon, and there may be options to trade out before you deal with mileage penalties or turn-in fees. Are you trying to replace it, buy it out, or see if you actually have equity in it?
You're immediately offering a lifeline. It just earns the conversation. And the sources also highlight the high interest rate buyer, which makes perfect sense given the current economic climate.
Oh, it's a huge demographic right now. A lot of people had to finance vehicles when rates were peaking. They might have an 8% or 9% interest rate. They don't necessarily want a new car. They just hate their loan.
Makes sense.
So again, the follow-up script adapts. I saw you were checking out options around lowering your rate or payment. Are you mainly trying to get out of a high-interest loan, lower your monthly payment, or see what your trade is worth?
Okay, wait a minute. I am putting myself in the shoes of a dealership general manager right now, and I can hear some skepticism out there.
Let's hear it.
If all of your targeting is based on people with financial pain, negative equity, bad loans, fleece panic, aren't these just bad subprime leads? Like people with no money who are just going to waste 3 hours of everyone's time on a Saturday because they can't get approved for anything.
This raises an incredibly important point, and it's the most common misconception we see in the floor-level feedback. We need to be very, very clear. Targeting financial pain is not the same as targeting subprime credit. A negative equity buyer or a lease-end buyer is not automatically a bad buyer.
They just have bad math.
Exactly. They might have a combined household income of $150,000. They might have an 800 FICO credit score. They are making their payments on time every single month.
Right.
They are just trapped in a vehicle that no longer fits their life. Maybe they had a third kid and need an SUV, but they are stuck in a sedan, or they have a loan structure that is mathematically painful. These are highly qualified customers with complex problems.
And if they have complex problems, how do we know they're getting matched with the right problem solvers. Like, why are franchise dealers the exact right fit for this system? Why not just sell these leads to the used car lot down the street?
Because franchise dealers have the specific financial tools required to solve these exact problems. An independent used car lot usually just has the car and whatever standard bank financing they can secure. But a franchise dealer like a Ford, Toyota, or Chevy store, they have a massive arsenal.
What kind of tools?
Well, if a customer has heavy negative equity, a franchise dealer might have a $5,000 manufacturer rebate on a new truck that can absorb that negative equity.
Ah, so they use the manufacturer's money to fix the math.
Exactly. And if it's a lease-end customer, the franchise dealer has captive lender programs,
Hmm.
the in-house financing arms of the manufacturers like Ford Motor Credit or Toyota Financial.
Right.
They have lease loyalty offers that forgive remaining payments.
Mm.
They have special subvented rate incentives like 0% or 1.9% financing, which completely cures the high interest rate buyer's problem. Plus, franchise dealers are desperate for good used inventory, so they have aggressive trade acquisition needs.
It's all connected.
DeskReady is finding people who need a dealership solution, and the franchise dealers literally have the keys to those solutions.
It's matchmaking. It's not just finding people who want cars. It's matching a complex financial problem with the exact institution equipped to restructure that problem. And that brings us to the ultimate benefit here, which really synthesizes this entire deep dive. The real product DeskReady is delivering to the CRM isn't actually the lead at all, is it?
No, it's really not. The real product is the buyer profile. And there is a monumental difference between a lead and a profile.
Break it down for me.
A traditional lead just says, Jane Doe submitted a form. A DeskReady buyer profile says, Jane responded to a rate relief campaign. She may be trying to lower a high-interest loan or reduce her monthly payment. Do not ask her what car she wants. Start the conversation around payment relief, trade value, and current incentive options.
It completely humanizes the very first touch point. When you replace a robotic guessing game script with genuine documented context, you don't just change the lead, you change the entire nature of the business transaction.
Right.
The salesperson isn't calling to interrogate Jane. They aren't cold calling her. They're calling to help solve a problem she explicitly raised her hand about.
It completely flips the dynamic. The dealership is no longer chasing the customer, it is responding to them. It speaks the language of the sales floor. It answers the one defining question every single salesperson has when they sit down at their desk, open their CRM, and look at a new name.
Why should I call this person?
Exactly. Why should I call this person? Because nobody on the floor wants to call another mystery lead. They've been burned way too many times.
Yeah.
But a buyer with a specific financial problem that the dealership has the exact tools to solve, that feels like an actual tangible opportunity.
It brings the process back to what selling cars, or really selling anything, has always been about at its core, understanding the customer's problem and showing them a clear mathematical path forward. So let's bring this all together. The massive shift in perspective we've uncovered in these sources is that lead quality is not just about the person clicking the button. It is entirely about the information attached to the person when they arrive in your system. A great customer with no context becomes a bad lead because the handoff is botched and the salesperson alienates them.
Yep.
But a decent customer with strong context becomes a real productive conversation. The old model of digital marketing says, here's another lead for the junk drawer. DeskReady Leads says, here's exactly why this buyer raised their hand today.
That is the defining difference between volume and value.
And for you listening, whether you sell cars or enterprise software or commercial real estate or insurance, I want you to think about how much time you waste treating everyone in your pipeline like a blank slate.
No.
How many blind calls are you making in your own industry right now just because someone clicked a button on your website and you have absolutely no idea why?
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really is a universal lesson. If context is the difference between a cold call and a genuine human connection, where else in your life or business are you relying on blind calls when you should be looking for the story behind the interaction?
Mm-hmm.
Next time you reach out to a prospect, a client, or even a colleague, ask yourself, do I know why they would want to talk to me today? What is their specific context? Because if you don't know the answer to that, you aren't diagnosing the problem, you're just guessing.
And guessing is the enemy of connection. Stop treating your CRM like a waiting room full of strangers and start treating it like a clinic full of people who actually need your specific help. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into DeskReady Leads and the mechanics of humanized marketing. We will catch you next time.